Assassin's Creed Shadows. Bro, what the f? Look, I gotta be honest, by all logic, AC Shadows should have been a complete disaster. Ubisoft track record in the last few years is abysmal, to say the very least. Open world has been fatigued to the max because everyone and their mothers are doing open world games these days. And the setting? Look, Ghost of Tsushima did that a few years back and they knocked it out of the park. But even though all of these things are going against AC Shadows, the game didn't just survive, it's actually kind of fun. So how is this possible? You might be asking to your screen while you're watching this video. Look, I don't know. So let's find out together, my broski, on why AC Shadows, even though so many freaking red flags, the game kind of thrived. 3 million copies sold so far. It's crazy. Let's be real, man. Ubisoft hasn't exactly been on a winning streak. I mean, for years, the Assassin's Creed series has been criticized for bloated open worlds, copy-pasted side content, and a gameplay loop that often feels more like a checklist than an adventure. Valhalla was fun, but man, oh my goodness gracious, that game was so long. Mirage was a step back towards classic AC games, admittedly, but it felt more like a DLC stretched into a full game, if I'm being honest. Fans were skeptical. Would Shadows just be another pretty map stuffed with meaningless activities? I mean, the odds weren't really in its favor. AC games, I mean Ubisoft games in general, I think they kind of brought this stigma to open world games, just having fluff. I mean, you got Ubisoft games from back in the day, like Far Cry games, Assassin's Creed games now in the open world fluff, Watch Dogs even, in having just empty open worlds that are just full of question markers, full of things to tick off a map so that you can go one step closer to that 100% achievement mark. But looking at AC Shadows, man, for years fans have been begging Ubisoft for Feudal Japan Assassin's Creed. Then Ghost of Tsushima happened, a game so freaking polished, so cinematic, and so perfectly samurai that it felt like the definitive take on the setting, and pretty much any game coming afterwards in the same setting would be more or less a cheap imitation. But then Shadows was announced, and many wondered, man, is it too late? Because first leaks came out way back, and it took them this long to kind of actually confirm them, and then having to actually make the game and having to wait a year of all of the drama, all of the controversy that came with the game, man. Look, the game odds were stacked up against it, I'll be very honest. Because not only Ubisoft's recent track record, if Shadows tried to directly compete with Ghost's combat or tone, man, it would have been swept under the rug. One round knockout. Also, on a side note, man, the dual protagonists in games, it's been done before, of course, and it can be amazing. GTA 5 is the perfect example of this, but it can also be a total mess. And look, Assassin's Creed in the past have failed in having dual protagonists in Syndicate because look, it doesn't matter who you pick, the outcome is still the same. Odyssey also had dual protagonists, but instead of playing as both, you get to choose one in Cassandra and then the other guy whose name I forget because everybody played as Cassandra. And another thing which I think should be talked about, which is the elephant in the room, that's a person from real-time history. I mean, Assassin's Creed or Ubisoft in general, they aren't known to pull people from history apart from like settings. You had Da Vinci in AC2 and Brotherhood as well, where man, he was just a character in the game. He wasn't a playable character, and he's Italian, so you can't really go wrong. But Yasuke, bro, that's walking on thin ice, man. That's controversial as really, because look, if you mess up that character in any way, shape or form, not only the game critics will go at you like dogs on bones, but also freaking historians might go crazy in trying to dog on your game. That is a tough subject to cover, which I won't do because I'm not gonna get into that, nor am I anything else but a freaking gamer, you know what I'm saying? Look, overall, it was a weird addition to have a person from real history come into this game, and I gotta pause on that as well. But also, look, the way they handled it, surprise. I'll be very honest. I was surprised at how cool Yasuke is, first of all. At the end of the day, it was kind of, people got crazy because of look, be honest, the color of his skin. But then as you're playing the game, you kind of feel like, and they kind of do somewhat justice to him. I mean, I don't know the history, but look, I like playing as. But like, in all honesty, man, all these things stacked up against it, it was bound to fail, but it didn't. And that's the crazy part, man. There are so many good things in this game that really surprised me, and I gotta be honest with that, because I walked into this game, I didn't even buy it full price. I went through the Ubisoft subscription system because I ain't paying full price Christ. None of these games, man. Unless you subscribe to the channel. Of course I'm gonna plug it, man. What the hell? Who do you think I am? I'm trying to get to the greatness of the tubes, man. Subscribe. Join the group. Become a broski. It's becoming one of those freaking motivational speeches. Against all odds, Shadows doesn't feel like a bloated Ubisoft slog, man. The stealth mechanics are surprisingly tight. Now a Shinobi gameplay brings back the series' roots with fluid parkour, hidden blade assassinations, and smart environmental interactions. Yasuke, meanwhile, look, this guy is a brute force powerhouse. His combat isn't just swing heavy sword and make damage happen. It's weighty, it's deliberate, and it's satisfying as all hell. Unlike Valhalla's endless button mashing and weird references to Thor himself, fights here demand strategy. I mean, it's not as deep as in some other games, but it's not as shallow as in Odyssey, for example, where you're just straight up a demigod and no one can stand a chance against you anyway because you're a freaking demigod. You're like God of War. You're like Kratos himself. And the best part, look, the two playstyles, surprisingly they complement each other instead of clashing against one another. Switching between them keeps the gameplay fresh. And it's not only that, look, the world around you changes based on who your character is that you're picking at any given time. You can switch them with the map, you can switch them in the inventory stuff, you can fast travel by switching characters. It's a weird system. I was kind of hoping it would be similar to in GTA where it kind of shoots up in the camera and it shoots down into the other character doing random shit. But the way that they handle it, it's surprisingly cool. The NPCs, that they react to you differently in the world, of course. Also enemies, they kind of react to you in combat differently. I noticed that a lot of enemies, they tend to get scared when they're fighting against Yasuke because of his brute force. Whereas against Naoe, they're kind of more eager to attack you because you're small, you're fast, and you don't seem like you have a lot of defenses going for you. Also, movement-wise, Yasuke is really slow. He has to have deliberate motions. He can't move or dodge as fast as Naoe can. And she can climb and go prone and do all of that good stuff, but Yasuke can't. And that's a cool addition in my opinion because it kind of makes the two characters stand out in ways that you wouldn't think. It feels more immersive, like an immersive sim of sorts. I mean, look, there's choices in the game that affect one or both characters, but they don't really I'm still like in the early hours of the game. I've only played like 20 hours so far. So it doesn't seem like the choices you make in the game really affect the story all that much, but as long as it affects the like little moment to moment stuff, I'm good with that, broski. And speaking of this, it kind of segues me to the open world aspects of Ubisoft games because Shadows, look, surprisingly makes exploration actually matter. The world isn't just pretty, it actually does feel quite alive. Villages feel lived in, castles are layered with secrets, and side quests often tie into the larger narrative. Historical details are woven in naturally and not just as a Wikipedia trivia page. The political intrigue, the clash of cultures, even the weather, which is dynamic. Seasons change here and there. You can either change them by yourself, or if you wait long enough, the seasons will change. And that kind of changes how you interact with the environment as well. And it all adds up to a world that does feel like exploring. I think the biggest comparison here is with Ghost of Tsushima. And I gotta be honest, man, that game is a thing of its own. And it's like the ultimate samurai power fantasy because it's got honorable duels, it's got cinematic showdowns, and emotional storytelling, man. That game gripped me like I don't even want to say what, because that's a pause moment and my kid might be watching this video. But Assassin's Creed, it kind of leans on the things that has made Assassin's Creed games work in the past. That's stealth, that's parkour, and that's conspiracy. Nowadays missions feel like classic AC. I mean, you're scaling rooftops, eavesdropping, and setting up assassinations, while Yasuke's story explores themes of loyalty and identity in a way that Ghost of Tsushima didn't. They're different experiences, and Shadows benefits from not trying to compete directly, and I think any game would. Instead of rehashing the same old formula, Shadow finds ways to make its setting feel new. The dual protagonist system isn't just a gimmick, and it actually fundamentally changes how you engage with the world. Now, stealth missions encourage patience and precision, while Yasuke's brute force approach makes combat feel fun because you can really smash through anything. Even the open world design benefits from this duality, like I said. So overall, man, did Ubisoft learn from their past mistakes, or is this game kind of just a one-off in the grander scheme of things? Look, I'd want to hope so, at least. The game that's here, it's surprisingly fun. I've had a ton of fun with the game so far. So I'd say, look, it's a step in the right direction at least. As long as they don't make the next game like 200 hours long and go back to AC Valhalla or Odyssey's type of open world traversal, which is like the world is so big that you kind of lean on fast travel. You don't want to go on horseback or on shipback or I don't even know what else back. And I think that was the big stumbling block in Odyssey and Valhalla as well. But ultimately, what the f do I know, man? I'm just a gamer on the internet who really enjoyed his time playing Shadows so far. Like I said, man, I'm like 15 to 20 hours in. I'm having a lot of fun so far. And I gotta be honest, man, Ubisoft, they're taking steps towards the right direction. I'm not saying the company's saved. The company's still trash and ass and all of that. But man, I gotta be honest, man, it's surprisingly fun. I want to hear your comments in the comments section below, my broski. Let me know what you think of AC Shadows. Is it just mid? Is it just the basic Ubisoft slop like most people say on Reddit? Or is it actually a good game? And if you're having fun, tell me which parts are you having most fun with, man. Any and all comments take this video a long ass way to the greatness of the tubes, of course. And while you're at it, click on the subscribo, man. Join the group, man. You made it to this part of the video. Might as well freaking subscribe. In any case, I don't really know how to end this video, so click this link to watch me ramble on about Avowed and if the game is actually an RPG and what the f the game is actually all about. So keep on trucking, my dudes. I'll catch you guys in the next upload. Peace.